Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Magic Arena Run. Today we are going to be taking a look at Midweek Magic, and yeah, finally I could pronounce it correctly this time. And it's a Historic Brawl showcase, so we have a bunch of pre-constructed Historic Brawl decks. Take note that Historic Brawl is different from regular Brawl in that you have 100 card. You need to have a 100 card deck, including your commander. So in a manner speaking, it's closer to dual commander than it is to brawl. I think the only difference is pretty much the card pool and the ban list. But anyway, it is a little bit special compared to last time because it's near the end of October. We all know what holiday that is. And so all of our pre-constructed historic brawl decks have that horror theme to consider. So we'll start with the non-black one. So we have Hofri Ghostforge. Basically, it's mostly about spirits, but it's also about recursion. Like, there are a lot of creatures here that you really want to recur. You want them to get and ways to get them killed. So let's see. So it's all about having them die, having them come back, having them die again, rinse, repeat. I'm not so sure how I feel about it, but we do have access to really powerful spells here at the least, so it's pretty much ideal that you want to that you're casting a lot of removal early and then dumping your creatures. So I can see a case for having some creatures down early enough. And then we have Oko the Trickster, not the broken Oko. This one is the Planeswalker deck Oko. So this one's mostly, I think this is only here because of the name Trickster. Otherwise, I don't see any really good reason. Maybe also to give green and blue a representative, because green has another representative in Old Stick Fingers, but otherwise, no representation for these colors. It is all about putting +1/+1 counters and being able to take advantage of it. So we have like Rishka, Scurry Oak, Champion of Landhold. Probably want to get a lot of early aggression as much as possible, take advantage of that if we can. Then we go for the last two colored deck. It's Old Stick Fingers, but it's a special one. Aside from lands, it's all creatures. Basically, it's Old Stick Fingers plus Umori the Collector. Pretty much all about getting cards in the yard, cycling them back, rinse and repeat. Pretty much we're gonna see a significant team of graveyard. Trickster's not so much graveyard, but it's all about big monsters. Sorin, a little bit of graveyard, but mostly about them vampires. Pretty much a typical horror staple. I kind of wonder why we don't have werewolves as a staple here. I guess it does make sense. We would need to revisit the older Innistrad sets to get probably enough vampires. Something to keep in mind, Wizards. Wink, wink. But yeah, this is all about vampires. It's pretty much vampire tribal over here in Sorin. And finally, Tiny Bones Trinket Teeth. This one is roundabout. It's a little bit roundabout for the graveyard. It's mostly about discarding. So lots of discard effects, lots of redraw effects. You're pretty much trying to empty your hand out as much as possible, and trying to and benefiting from your opponent not being able to fight back. We'll probably start from left to right here. We'll start with Hofri. We'll start with the non-black ones for now, because at the very least I can foresee that the mono black ones are going to be a lot easier to play. Whether they have enough counterplay against the other decks is another matter entirely. But also we will know what deck our opponent's playing later. Yes, our opponent's playing the Oko deck. Unfortunately, our turn 1 play is going to be slightly delayed. We have an Immortal Sun, which is strange. I would have thought that this would be banned in the format, but yet here it is. We're looking at it. Also, this one's not exactly a good opening hand. Like, we don't get to play this one. We'll take the free mulligan. This one's much better. We got defense at 1, surprise at 2, draw a card if we need to. We'll probably play through each of these decks one time. I don't expect to play too much into these. Okay, opponent leads on a Rimewood Falls. Knowing that this is green-blue, there is a little bit of removal, but not too much, so we're going to try to take advantage of that. Swords to Plowshare is going to be looking really good. The Shelter is also going to be quite relevant. I don't... What's our opponent? The opponent might have a turn 1 something. Not too sure. We'll swing first, see if our opponent has something, but I highly doubt it. Yeah, and then we just drop Hero of the Nyxborn. Gain a little extra life. Basically, we need to put up as much pressure on our opponent as possible. We do need to hit lands. Light of the Legion? I think it's mostly here for Mentor and also for the death trigger is actually really busted. Feral Hydra X equals 2. Also note that it'll be interesting when we target. Let's see if our opponent goes for the block. Probably does not, just takes the hit. Yeah, they're just gonna take the hit as is. Then we could just run out the Swiftblade Vindicator. Hold up the Swords to Plowshares for the time being. I'm only confident in leaving it up like this because of our opponent's colors. Opponent drops a Rishka, Pima Renegade. Up to 2 target creatures. Let's nuke the Feral Hydra before it gets any bigger. So that leaves our opponent with a 3/3. Oh, this has double strike, vigilance, trample. You don't have to. Thank you. We're gonna swing with everything. Opponent probably just blocks Rishkar. We unfortunately can't shelter Swiftblade Vindicator, but if it clears the board, I'll let the trade happen. So what we'll do is we'll shelter Hero of Nyxborn. Actually, I'm unlikely to cast Devil's Play, so yeah, draw protection from blue, I say. Okay, got ourselves a land, but the ETB's tap. But you know what? We'll take it. Yeah, we managed to clear out that board pretty well. We are a little bit a ways away from hitting. Also, I would note that yeah, they're enchantments, but they're not spirits. We kind of have to wait for these guys to trade off. Opponent goes Champion of Lampholt. Ooh, they are in real trouble if that's their play. Looks like our opponent might be stuck on mana. They took one mulligan earlier, but they might have wanted to take a second. It is probably a warning for us also, because it looks like if I remember the green-blue deck correctly, it is middle heavy. So that might be an issue. Yeah, also our opponent not so we hit our 5. We're gonna just play Hofri right now. Let's see. Swing with everything. Okay. Yeah, opponent did not have anything there. So, not much of a display because our opponent really got stuck on mana at that time. So, sometimes it's unfortunate. It is a note for us that we really have to keep an eye on our mana. We need to accelerate to at least 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, for the green-blue deck. So we'll keep that in mind since that's the deck we're going to be playing next. After we claim our paltry. 20 gems, not bad. So let's again take a quick review on the Oko Trickster deck, but for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's a weird 2-3. The problem is there is a lot of 4, 5s, and 6s, so we have to be very careful here. The land split is kind of even at 41, so it seems like our opponent was somewhat unfortunate that they did not hit their lands that way. I guess it's also a reminder that maybe if you have a land heavy hand, it's probably okay to keep it, all things considered. We do have to be careful if we're up against the Trinket. Against Tiny Bones, that's a horrible matchup because we really need to hit all our cards. We need to hit all our drops. It's might be kind of fine against the mid-range effects. Okay, so we at least we have the Arcane Signet, so I'm willing to keep it. I can see a lot of questionably dead cards here, like Inexorable Tide. Also, that's the Scars of Mirrodin symbol. Okay, our opponent's also playing Sorin in previous Bloodlord, so is our opponent, are they add? So at least we get the turn 3 Skatewing into a turn 4 Inexorable Tide. Okay, we'll take. Opponent could have removal. Can't really do too much about that. It is Vampire Tribal, so there is some removal, but I think it's more creature heavy than. Oh, we do have the interesting option of Inscription of Abundance. If our opponent just drops a regular old vampire. If he drops Sorin, not so much, but actually Sorin's gonna be Faceless Agent. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. Whenever you cast a spell, Proliferate. Kinda wanna get the ball rolling. Because this only just puts a +1/+1 counter. It's not a mana dork. So counters. I gain life. Fight the Faceless Agent. Might be slightly premature, but better to have a starting threat right now. I probably also would put the +1/+1 counter on the Merfolk Skydiver. Though I can also just do Inexorable Tide, just wait it out a bit. We're not going to be adapting this one because there's already counters on it. Kind of fine, actually. It would have made it a 4/5 anyway. Opponent might be forced to play Sorin into it to get one of their vampires down. Veto. Put the +1. Gonna wait on that. Since we're not in so much a hurry at this point, we will just play the Inexorable Tide. This really feels like a win more card, to be honest though. That said, I can Merfolk Skydiver, Proliferate, Invigorating Surge, Proliferate. At least Sorin is not. It's only just some damage-based removal. So, but our opponent's giving Hagra Mauling. Okay, they were forced to do that, so that's kind of fine. This ETB's tapped, but it does set up. Yeah, we're gonna force our opponent to delay their turns by, and pretty much force them to play removal for the most part. Vampire Sovereign. Okay, just extra hit. We do get to swing with Vorinclex. Ooh, we also get Zagana, but let's see. Yeah, opponent has to... Oh, opponent's just taking it. So they're probably going to be relying on removal. Oko just becomes a copy of this, but that's just a 1-1. I'm probably going to just play Zegana at this point. Yeah, so it looks like the trick was to just... Yeah, but this would not have been possible if we did not have... This would not have been possible if we did not have the mana for this. So yeah, that's kind of what doomed our opponent earlier. Okay, 5. Opponent goes for Sorin. This is gonna be the big... Oh! And the nice thing is that it enters with fewer counters because of Vorinclex. So our opponent is forced to do the plus... Cordial Vampire. Oh, no counters are coming. Opponent needs to have hard removal for Vorinclex, and they probably should have done that first. Vorinclex ruins games. Well, at least it ruins our opponents. Opponent's gonna go for the life gain, so we'll take it. Hit. And opponent concedes. It looks like yeah, the writing's kinda on the wall at this point. Our follow-up would have been Zegana. I think our follow-up could have easily been Oko the Trickster, so we would have just dumped counters onto the... We would have just dumped counters onto Vorinclex. Yeah, Darstrain Rampage, not the best rare, but we'll take it. It at least fills out the collection. So we're gonna go with the last multicolored deck, Old Stick Fingers. Remember, this is gonna be pure creatures and lots of self-mill if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Stitcher Supplier, Mire Triton. They don't have the other one, which they don't have the other one. They do have looks somehow I noticed that the self-mill is a little bit weaker. What gives? Yeah, because it's missing a few particular self-mill cards. At least there's some that I would not have selected here. Like the Skull Prophet, I would have preferred the green-black elf that mills tree right away and allows you to put the land back on the top. I would have also preferred Eccentric Farmer for that same reason. We do have the usual suspects. I forgot to pay attention if there was a Timrid Returns from the Dead one. But yeah, this looks like okay. I also noticed there's a... this is actually bad. No self-mill. We can't even cast this immediately. We're gonna take the free mull. Here we go. Some self-mill. Some early plays. Ancient Ziggurat actually very good here. So also note that at least we have the early plays and we have the 3 mana to follow up with Umori later. So this is a very good start. Augur of Autumn does fit this deck relatively well. Also, the nice thing about Old Stick Fingers is if we don't need to mill ourselves that much, this is easily a 2 mana. Well, I wouldn't play it at 2 mana right away. Maybe after the Stitcher Supplier. Also, we're up against Hofri Ghostforge, so... Ugh, not good. Only one creature got milled. I probably could have also just played the Ancient Ziggurat. Yeah, we need to at least keep one basic. I suspect we will have to... Also note that Stitcher Supplier probably not the one creature that our opponent wants to get rid of, but so we want to keep this... Want to make the most value out of this guy. Opponent passing after a long time thinking. I could just play the Reassembling Skeleton, but let's play the Mother Bear. Let's get some aggro going. Also, it's more likely to be if our opponent has Lightning Bolt or Lightning Helix, this is at least a juicy enough target. Valcry Goblin. we will play Augur. Now, technically, we could just play Umori next turn. We'll play Augur of Autumn for now. Have a Gourmand off the top. We're gonna kind of hold here. Basically, Mother Bear is gonna be a very good blocker. I did notice there are a few goblins in this deck. It does make sense. It's a very good way to get easy aggro. So next turn we go for the opponent goes Sacred Fire. That's not a Lightning Helix. So if did our opponent miss something? Our opponent definitely missed something. That's Sacred Fire. That's not Lightning Helix. It helps to actually... That's one case where it helps to actually have the Japanese alternate art. Yep. Opponent, that was a shame. That was a shame concession. I think I'll revisit the... I'll revisit the old Stick Fingers deck later. Since we kind of got an easy way out on that one. So let's keep that in mind if the show doesn't take too long. We'll now pay a visit to one of the two mono black decks. There's a Confounding Conundrum. First off, we'll start with Sorin because that's the one we ran into earlier. Definitely, it's all about them vampires. And I think in particular, we want to have an early start. Our opponent only being able to start off with the Bloodline Pretender, that one felt way too late if you ask me. You kind of want to mulligan into as close a perfect hand as you can. Yeah, the free mulligan is always good if you need it. So don't be afraid to if it's less than stellar. Okay, so this one's a very good one. Turn 1 Knight, turn 2 Interloper. The rest are kind of expensive though. Yeah, I also noticed that the curve is relatively flat, so this is... But I'm willing to keep this one. We may end up revisiting this because I kept a 2-lander and I'm going to get severely punished for it. Not too much. So let's greet our opponent. Hello. And oh yeah, if you're wondering what's the one with the busted one, that would be the Angel Glee one. Opponent goes Cold Steel Heart. They are going for that ramp. It benefits them a lot because you want to get Hofri as early down as possible, preferably with a board in line. We need to also decide if I want to... Also, what you can do is the turn 3 Sorin into... Just dump a vampire. Now, Mindstone. Opponent is just ramping a bit into a Hero of Nyxborn. Okay. What I can do is actually just threaten activation. Now that might have been bad. Well, actually it's not too bad because I would rather get this one in the yard before Hofri comes down. Once Hofri comes down, it's a bit too bad for us. We do still need lands to hit our other stuff like Lich's Caress, but we can just drop Sorin into, say... Well, Drana is really nice. Pillar drop Rescuer. Gets the Hero of Nyxborn back, so that's okay, all things considered. Opponent's gonna just swing with that. Hit the Changeling Outcast. It's a cheap vampire at least. What I can do is I could drop Sorin. Go for the +1/+1 onto the Knight. Swing with both. If our opponent has Lightning Bolt, that's really good for them. No, opponent just takes. Get the buff on the Knight. Opponent can take this down to 2, which is going to be slightly annoying, but It's still acceptable. I might end up Hero of Nyxborn, replay the special. Yeah, all the damage now is gonna go to Sorin. So, oh no, opponent held back. So let's see. Yeah, I'm probably gonna just fire this off now. We're 1 mana away from just replaying Sorin if it ever gets to that.
Welcome to the family.
Also, we do have to remember that basically we need to our opponent does have a shock effect. Sacred Fire. Okay. That's actually fine. Since Drana can get it back. Sans counters. Opponent is okay, opponent's now playing Elspeth. That should nuke Drana. But it won't nuke Thirsting Bloodlord, which is probably the good news for now. He has played the Scion right now. Swing with Interloper. Yeah, let's start. So we won't be able to cast Lich's Caress, but we will be able to cast everything else. Yeah, opponent was forced to do the Elspeth, the ECD on Drana. Maybe I could have mitigated it slightly, but we're at the point where we're probably just going to be playing Blight Priest, Lifelink, we just need to be careful. Well, I probably want to play Blight Priest first so that we can. If our opponent goes Swords to Plowshares, we still get some benefit off that, even if it's just some 1 instead of like the 3. Opponent having to sack the Mind Stone, not so great. We're back up to 6. Well, technically they're 4. Yeah, total 6 mana. They are going to get back Pillar Drop Rescuer, but unless something else dies, so I'm gonna incline to not swing on the board. Opponent goes Venerable Warsinger. We hit another Drana. So what I can actually do is Malachor Blight Priest, Changeling Outcast, Sacrifice a Vampire, nuke Venerable Warsinger. Our opponent does get it back. But now our opponent has to answer both of our flyers. They most likely get the Pillar Drop to get back the Warsinger because it gives them a flyer. Getting back that would be correct. Oh, also note we do have a Lich's Caress. We can just go up top and ignore our opponent. And Sorin also ignores the opponent that way, so I think our opponent is gonna need extra life. I could also just play Drana. +1/+1 on each attacking creature. Yeah, we don't need the Drana at this point. Yeah, our opponent needs to answer the flyers. Lightning Bolt, okay, slows things down. Not quite. They're still They're still lethal. And I don't think our opponent has an answer to Lich's Curse. They're just going to... Yeah, opponent's just going for the Custer's Last Stand. Oh, it's destroy target creature, you gain 3 life. Okay, let's just destroy target creature. Yeah, I misread that as every target, any target. And yeah, if it goes, at least goes to show that, yeah, we can, even we who have been playing for such a long time, we can still misread the card. We can still make assumptions because we think we're thinking a lot faster. We're thinking a little bit too positively. Yeah, so a little bit careful on that. So we will be doing Tiny Bones. I think if this game does not take too long. Okay, I remember this is gonna be all about the discard. It's also the one that wants to drop Tiny Bones ASAP. So that once we start making our opponent discard empty their hand, we can start redrawing. Something to keep in mind. It's a lot more consistent at 60 cards, but ooh, okay. We will definitely keep this, though against Hofri. Might as well, I guess. At least we get Dark Ritual. Okay, opponent leads off with Stonebinder's Familiar, so I think our opponent's not gonna trade. So ideally, the place to make our opponent go blank so that we can although or put into exile during it's during their turn, so it won't it's not a big deal if it goes to exile on our turn. I might end up still swinging with these first, especially since our opponent's not doing anything. And we need to do this so target a player. Yeah, we need to start drawing into cards at least. Our opponent could have this. Okay, discarding a bunch of really expensive cards. Draw. Okay, so we should get to Haunt of Hightower very soon. Opponent is getting close to hitting their mana as needed. We might end up having to recast Tiny Bones, but it's kind of okay. Yeah, move to command zone. I'll probably recast it closer than not. Yeah, I would rather do this into this, so I'm probably just gonna swing again past the turn. Wait for our opponent to slightly empty their hand a little bit. Now, I don't know if our opponent's still gonna have cards that's 3 or less at this point, but it's worth a shot. Opponent lightning bolts the Dreadwander, which is perfect. I'd rather they bolt this guy than bolt Tiny Bones. Also hit Liliana, wake her from the dead. Let's see if we... Oh, we did hit. There's a Seasoned Pyromancer. So next turn we can drop into Haunt of Hightower. I need to double check the PT on this. 3/3, so... a little bit sketchy. Also, our opponent is missing mana, so that's not very great for them. I can just lead on Liliana at least. I don't know if our opponent has an effect. Maybe I should not have swung into this.
Seize the day, my minions. Sorry for your loss.
So next turn we can... Oh, never mind. Opponent concedes. They were a bit unfortunate that they did not hit the second red. If I remember, yeah, I think the problem with the Hofri deck is also it's a 50-50 split, if I'm not mistaken. Let's actually double check. Again, something that I always say is that as much as possible, you really want to avoid the 50-50 split. No matter how good even if your mana is good, at most you kind of want like a 60-40, 2/3, 1/3. Yeah, let's double check that one. Yeah, this is very close to a 50-50. Oh no, this is not very close. This is kind of 50-50. It's leaning more towards white, so our opponent made the right call of keeping that. It's a bit unfortunate that there are a lot of double red cards here. They are very good, but yeah, just some slight misfortune. Yeah, the Hofri deck really needs to hit one of these four. Because this is pretty much the fix that you want. I guess if you still want to lead into more white, but you could lead into if you had one white and multiple red. It's kind of hard to say because there's a lot of double white, there's a lot of double red. It makes having a dual land in the opener very important. Yeah, it's a little bit questionable there. There is still quite some time, so we are going to go back into Old Stick Fingers. That's that's the deck that did not exactly. Yeah, that one got the shame concession earlier because Sacred Fire is no Lightning Helix. I think the other likelihood is our opponent might have thought they had double red mana. They had double white, so they had another removal spell on hand. So that said, yeah, this is not keepable. We have two cards that we want to mill. We don't have any actual mill. In fact, with our opener just being Null Priest of Oblivion, it's there's an argument for playing Null Priest to get some early aggro, but our play is going to be Black Boom Rogue, Necro Blossom into Null Priest, turn 3 Issaret. Yeah, we probably should mulligan this. Okay, this one's better. We can open with Fabled Passage. We can get the double green. I don't think we might need Nyx Bloom Ancient, a bit questionable here, but well, it is a top end. Looks like our opponent does have has the early aggro start, so we need to this one makes sense. That one does not make sense. Oh yeah, and for those wondering, yeah, this is the one that shows up. So there is a little bit of a glitch there. I know you want the cards in the yard, but I think it's way too early. Clarion Spirit, sure, that's fine. Let's get we won't be able to hit X3 quite yet, but we still want double green. We can lead into Ghoul Caller's Apprentice, which is that was a good call. No, ironically, the Rex Sage is actually kind of good because our opponent does have a few enchantment creatures. They don't have a lot, but they do have a few, so it might be relevant. In this case, not so relevant. That's a Venerable Warsinger. I might end up doing a mass chump block if I have to. I could just play the Rex Sage just to get an extra blocker so that we can chump block clear the Warsinger out of there. Yeah, let's do that. Now this opens us up to a lot of removal, but it's still better. And worst case scenario, it gives us a blocker for Clarion Spirit. Next turn, if Clarion Spirit does not grow too big, we can Voracious Hydra into that. Then we have the under Arcane Signet. opponent realizes we're gonna double block, and they're not gonna get anything back. Oh, that's what you're just getting in damage. Okay. Now they could have a pump effect, but I don't Is there a pump effect? No, there isn't. I would have been Yeah, be careful on that one, because we definitely don't want Clarion Spirit around. Now our opponent is gonna get Hofri down. The most we can probably do is play our forest, play Underrealm Lich. It gives us a 4-tree. Oh yeah, it also... Yeah, Trample and Haste, so we're taking 2 this way. Oh no, we're not. Okay. I can exile as a sorcery. How many cards do we have in the yard right now? We clearly have 1, 2... We clearly have 2, so this is a 2-2. Probably just gonna play the Underrealm Lich. Also, this one gets cards in our yard, which is also very important for Old Stick Fingers. Now, if our opponent has ECD, so much for the Underrealm Lich, but that's kind of how it goes. This does not have reach, so opponent might have misread that. Our opponent does have 6 mana, technically, functionally 8 mana now. One nice thing to note is that if we can mill some good cards into the yard, that is something we can get back with Null Priest. You may also want to consider, well, actually, no reason to play Umori quite yet. Umori is good as a 4-mana 4/5 at the very least, so we can accept that. Yeah, we need to have something to nuke Hofri. Otherwise, our opponent's just gonna keep getting stuff back and forth. Our opponent could easily just start. Yeah, they're gonna start swinging now. They might have forgotten about the trample and haste part. Let's see if they have a follow-up. If they just nuke the Voracious Hydra, I'm fine with it. Because the Underrealm Lich is a lot more important right now. Put 1 in your hand. So then again, if we were to do that, what do we get back? Rex Sage, nuke the Arcane Signet since our opponent doesn't get anything back from that. Can't nuke the Palladium Mirror. Ooh, nice. Got the mill that we wanted. Now, next turn Nyx Bloom Ancient's gonna be slightly awkward. Then again, we could just eternalize and get something back. It is a bit of a big mana deck. Yeah, opponent is kind of flooded right now. Surtland Flinger. When it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. Thankfully, creatures are big enough that our opponent would have to sack Hofri, which is a dwarf, not a giant, thank goodness. I can also just Ziggurat into Umori. Set up the next turns that way. It really depends. If our Underrealm Lich hits something really good, opponent hits Daxos. Now this one's slightly annoying now that Hofri's out. The Rex Sage plan is not gonna pan out here. I actually noticed a lot of people are playing with the Hofri deck. I guess if you can get it online like this, it's really good. One thing we can also do is we can swing with old stick fingers, get our opponent to block with a bunch of stuff. Yeah, the problem is return the exiled card to its owner's graveyard. Oh, it doesn't keep coming back, so we do have to start swinging a bit. So draw. Yeah, we'll put the Hierophant in hand. Locklet Giant. That gives us an extra plan. So for now, we're just gonna go. Oh wait, we can't. Ooh, that was. Ooh, that was bad. This one, it should have tapped this one. Well, we had no way of knowing it quite yet. I could just play the Oblivion, but we'll swing with old stick fingers for now. Get our opponent to block, because it just gives our opponent like a second shot at cards. So maybe we do want to block a few of them. Get our opponent to block a few of them first, so that the Rex Sage does something. Also, kind of don't want to kill Hofri. I kind of want to kill everything else first. So if our opponent were to block with Surtland... did we miss something? That's 9. So it grows a little bit larger. Okay, that's fair. Opponent probably somewhat incentivized to nuke the Hierophant soon, ASAP. Yeah, we kind of goofed on that one. We should tap this one first. Opponent is super flooded though, so we do have that as an advantage. Opponent is gonna swing with Surtland. So we may sacrifice another creature. They could sack Hofri. It would kill the Hierophant. Opponents. So now that card lands in the yard. Oh no, it... Wait, why did it get exiled? Hold on. Okay. Oh wait, when it leaves the battlefield, return the exile card to the owner's graveyard. There you go. Okay, so it's a little bit delayed. So put one in hand. We'll put the swamp in hand. So I forgot. Ebon Death is if a creature not named Ebon Death died this turn. We will swing first with old stick fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because ideally I want to kind of like get Lotlet back. That's a lot of that. Like Nyx Blue Ancient is also very tempting. It would give us a ton of mana. If our opponent's not doing much, we can actually just set it up. Okay, opponent's just doing the regular old chump block. Also, one, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, not a good fit. I think I want to just play the next Bloom Ancient right now. And we actually have the triple mana to get Umori back. There you go. That said, we are just one top deck away from having our House of Cards collapse. This in Lotlet's just deals 1 damage to target opponent, so no life drain, which we would have really liked. 1, 2. Yeah, we can easily cast this, get this back, get Lotlet back that way, get something to die, get Even Death back. Definitely want to swing with Old Stick Fingers first when it comes to that point. We also kind of want to go Shelter. Okay. They probably name green so that they can get through for damage. They're just cycling to draw a card. And to get some damage through, which makes some sense. Opponent goes Selfless Savior. Oh wow, that's gonna just keep. That's gonna be a little bit annoying. So our best bet is to actually just get Lotlet to die and keep firing it off again and again. Opponent might as well swing with Hofri at this point because they already invested it. I might just swing with Old Stick Fingers for now just to get something to die and go into the yard. Definitely have to keep the Gifted Aetherborn up top. So let's see. Oh, we'll play this one first because it's double black anyway. It doesn't benefit from the reduction. Let's name creature. We'll keep swinging with Old Stick Fingers because that's pretty much the correct thing to do. I kind of want to swing with Next Bloom Ancient also since... But we can kind of wait on that. Also need to be careful about using Unwilling Ingredient, but we do have 12 cards in the yard right now. Yeah, the interesting caveats that we... Okay. Opponent does it with the Selfless Savior. Okay. Okay, so first we'll go with the kick. Get back Lotlet. Technically, it's only 11 damage, but it is a start. Also need to be careful because we don't want this to get too low that we actually end up killing it. But that's a bit of a ways away. It's not that much damage. Technically, our opponent's still dealing more. I'm just pretty much thankful that we never had to pay the 4 life quite yet. If we had to start paying 4 life, it would have been a real disaster. I could have also swung with the Gifted Aetherborn since we do kind of have a way to get it back. It would have traded with their creatures faster, but I kind of need something to hold them back on the yard. Opponent's using their timeouts. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. It's not really over yet. I probably will just draw a card though. So ETB's tapped, but it now gives us a flyer to start blocking this nonsense up top. I probably will crack the Unwilling Ingredient. Yeah, so Stick Finger's shrinking a little bit. Let's see. Wait. Reinforce Scavenge. Put this number of counters. Scavenge as a sorcery. The other's going to the yard, so I definitely want to take the Mar Triton. So... Oh yeah, opponent's just tapping now so that technically no, you still have to do a lot of skipping, unfortunately, because all of this is on tap. And we gain at least a little bit of life. Oh yeah, this deck does not have Timurit Calls the Dead because it's all creatures. I forgot Omori. Ooh, Massacre Worm. So we kind of want to save the Timeless Witness to get the Massacre Worm back. That's gonna be a real deal breaker for our opponent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we can end the turn. I'm trying to remember if our opponent has a board wipe. It will reset the board, well, quite badly for us actually. So if I were to do Timeless Witness, I need to decide okay, Massacre Worm's a very good target to bring back. Anointed Procession, fine, a little bit late, but our opponent does get to double up. Most likely the Palladium Mirror. It's a bit too late for Dax. Daxos not exactly a good target. We can also scavenge Banner Hide to, say, put a ton of +1/+1 count. This is like 7 +1/+1 counters on... Wait, what's the power? 4. No, it's only 4 +1/+1 counters, but 4 on Null Priest is going to be interesting. 4 on Gifted Aetherborn will also kind of work. Oh yeah, so I should let that resolve. Sorry, my bad. I talk too much. But definitely Timeless Witness getting back Massacre Worm is going to be a big deal for us. So we'll probably be taking the last points of damage off the top here. We kind of want to nuke the Palladium Mirror first if we can, but I don't think that's going to happen. We can also just swing with the Lottlet Giant, get it to die. Then have our opponent decide. We actually could Timeless Witness for Isareth and start getting all our other creatures back. I don't think our opponent's about to hit removal anytime soon, so we could go for that line of play. It's slower, it's a bit greedier, but it's probably works better in the long term. Polukranos, Skull Prophet. We can escape, but that eats up our yard. Technically, we can wait on it. We can just take the Chainweb Arachneer first. Oh no, this would have been better in the yard. My mistake. It does eat up a few cards though, but it would have been a better get back. So we'll swing with. We'll pretty much swing with Old Stick Fingers and Lotlet Giant. We could also swing with, say, Gifted Aetherborn. It will probably trade with, it's going to trade with 2 creatures at least. Well, 1, technically 2, because our opponent will sack with Selfless Savior. Yeah, we'll swing with Gifted Aetherborn. It gives us a little bit of life as well, so that shouldn't be too bad. Now, another thing we could have done is to bring out Polukranos, start sniping cards. Like we could snipe Hofri, we could snipe both Hofri and Daxos, get them out of the way first. But yeah, it looks like we kind of dominated this board at this rate. Don't want to count our chickens quite yet, but I'm trying to if our opponent just takes it, I'm actually going to just buy back Polukranos and just start nuking their things. Like, yeah, sure, we lose off. Oh wait, we also have some lands in the yard. We can also nuke those instead. Opponent's still around. They're doing the math. We're about to run out of time. Yeah, I think that. I think what's also possible is that our opponent might have had to do something, had to step away from the board. By the time they got back, they ran out of time. Sometimes real life happens. But yeah, our opponent was not drawing any more cards. That's kind of the one weakness in generally any deck with white. Unless you have a lot of card draw from the other color, you're not going to get much. But there we go. That's all. That's all the different Historic Brawl decks. If I were to rate these decks, it's kind of hard to say. I like Old Stick Fingers the most, though, but it does take a bit of setup. It can be quite scary if you don't get the setup right. Tiny Bones requires a super early start. We kind of demonstrated that. At least with the Dark Ritual was not too necessary. We could have started later, but it was quite good. Sorin, relatively good, especially if the most you do is use your Sorin drop to bring down one of the bigger vampires, so that is also in consideration. Oko is okay if you can get a lot of mana early. If you can secure your land drops, like you really need to hit your 4, 5, 6. You're not gonna win if you don't. Hofri, a bit of a mixed bag. I did see the Hofri synergy. I think our opponent could have. No, the problem was our opponent's creatures were not exactly that aggressive. It kind of relied on the opponent getting. Yeah, our opponent in that last game got stonewalled because of the Underwhelm Lich. Though they could have kept swinging. Sure, they would have lost some. They would have lost some creatures along the way. They were going to get them back once, but we would have been losing a lot of life. The Flyers were going to do us in eventually, but it took a while. And yeah, we kind of got it there. So there we go. That's going to be it for this episode of the Magic Arena Run. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on notifications and whatnot. Yeah, this one became a long episode, particularly because of that last match. But all in all, these Historic Brawl decks are quite decent. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time. Take care. God bless. Stay safe wherever you are. Have a great rest of the week, everyone. Take care.